8th March is not just the day to celebrate International Women's Day, it's beyond the struggles that women faces or a day to talk about their contribution to the workplace or even society. It's the celebration of womanhood. It's the celebration of the power of solidarity, the beauty of individuality, and the endless possibilities when women support and uplift each other. It's about breaking stereotypes and challenging norms. And today we have with us a journalist who is truly symbolic to womanhood, Naheed Ataulla. Naheed Ataulla is a senior political journalist who has 30 years of experience. Having previously served at the esteemed Times of India, she now lends her expertise as an advisor at Daily Salar while continuing to make significant contributions to various reputable newspapers and news portals across the nation.
Journalism as a career for women was not as common as it is today back then. How did you beat your odds to get here and become one of the most successful political reporters?
Like, I didn't become a political reporter immediately. So I started off like what you are today as a cub reporter. So at that point of time, we had only like now you have different departments: a political bureau, a business bureau, a metro bureau. But then it was one seamless bureau, city bureau. So you had to do everything except sports and of course some film coverage. You had to do all kinds of assignments. So I have done all kinds of assignments, right from attending a seminar, then you had to do your special stories also. And then in the evenings we had this big, so I can call it an ordeal now. From 6 o'clock we had to go through all those press statements which used to come. It used to be a huge bundle. Open the covers, see the press notes, then type it out. At that point of time, typewriters were there. Computers came in very late, that in sometime in the 90s. So then you had to wait for the weather report. Now most newspapers have stopped giving the weather report, but we had to give the weather report, and you couldn't have you can't you couldn't you means you were not supposed to go home till you gave the weather report. So that is how it was. So that's how. Then from there, or somewhere around 90s or something, we had these bureaus. Then from there, I started my political reporting. So somewhere in 95 or something, my political reporting started.
Who was the first person you interviewed and what was the challenges you faced? Because certain times when we go out as a reporter, there are few ministers or MLA. If we are shooting questions, they don't take us seriously. Like, she's just young one. She just started her career off, or like, oh, she doesn't know how the field works. Why are we supposed to answer? So during this situation, how can we drag their attention and ask them, make sure that they answer what we are asking, and how to make them like serious about we know what's happening, and how to build that confidence.
Like what you rightly said, the last word, confidence. You should show that you are very confident. And when you ask questions, then you have to be thorough with the information which you are asking them. So, of course, now lots of youngsters have come, and in all this electronic media, you have only youngsters coming in. And this, from day one, they are put into political reporting. So it's not that. It's just how you conduct yourself, the way you ask questions, the confidence you present. So that's how. And then once you build up a trust with the person, then there is no difficulty in getting through to the person.
So as a reporter, there often, I believe, in never take a no for an answer. So how did you like start and made sure that you got what you wanted for your stories?
I used to go prepared. Like for example, like I told you, I started off with all this city reporting. So if I have to give an example, if I was going to cover a water board, a BWSSB press conference or a special story, I would do my homework. and then go to I would go to the chairman, and then usually it's better you always meet the top person. So meet the chairman, get all the information, and then come back. And you are also asked me which was my first interview. Of course, I don't remember, but I remember my first assignment. My first assignment was a seminar in the UVC, not the UVC, Agricultural University. So it was a seminar on agriculture. I came back. I didn't know what to do. I found everybody was typing, but I didn't know what to write at all. So that's how it also. This is how everybody faces that.
What are the main difficulties you see journalists face in today's media? The problems that we face, that you have seen, like.
I think you should be answering that question because now I don't think there are any difficulties for you
Yes.
regarding information. And see, our job is to get information only. So getting that information in those days was very difficult. And then it was like we didn't even have the mobiles came only in the late 90s. So if you had to contact somebody, you had to go to that person, or the phones were there, the landlines. And then this telephone directory was a very big treasure for all of us. Every year we used to wait for the new telephone directory to come so that it would have all the updated addresses. So now we don't even, I don't think any one of us keep a telephone directory. All numbers are there, and none of us will remember. I don't think she will remember her number because she would have saved it in her Vaishnavi's name. So she will not even remember Vaishnavi's number. Tomorrow if she loses her mobile and Vaishnavi calls, she will not even know Vaishnavi has called.
So, ma'am, what initially drew you towards journalism as profession? As you told, there was so much of difficulties like getting information, this telephone booth, and all these things. So, what drew you towards journalism?
For me, it was not planned, but I wanted to do something different. So after I finished my graduation, I had two options. One, I got a seat in MA in psychology in Bangalore University. The other was had appeared for an entrance test in this journalism. It was called BS in mass communication. I think it's there only. So there I wrote the test, and I was not hopeful of getting a seat because I thought it was tough. But when I went on the result day, it was only 30 seats, and some 100 people had applied. So I had topped. So then I got in. But then one thing I can tell you, theory will not teach you journalism. Only when you come onto the field, then you will know the difficulties of reporting.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's how I got into this one. And the only thing was that I was very interested in reading newspapers, following politics from a very young age.
You were interested in politics that drew you towards it?
Maybe in a way I think, but I never thought I would graduate to do political reporting like what I'm doing now.
Do you think nowadays journalism is all about politics in a way?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it has come down to that. See, because if you watch the news channels, the electronic media, every news is political news, and every
Exactly.
newspaper, page one, it's political news. Once in a way, if you have a special story, that is displayed. Otherwise, everything is political.
Ma'am, what are the kind of stories that you don't see anymore that were the main stories in your time?
Big stories, special stories, human interest stories, and then something to do with health.
It's
See, visiting hospitals. If, for example, I don't see stories of a reporter having visited a government hospitals and writing about the condition of government hospitals. So you go to a press conference because that hospital would have done some special surgery. That's all. We come back, our finished. That's over.
So, which is a story that you would, like to see more in papers or digital media, specifically with different, like as you mentioned, health, etc. Which is one.
Human interest,
Human.
which touches. See, if through your story, you should be able to help at least one person. So if that story has helped if your story has helped that person, then it's something great.
Could you please tell us a human interest story that you personally loved?
I don't know. I've done quite a bit. Okay, I'll tell you about human interest story. Of course, there was one patient in Hindwai Cancer Hospital, and for the first time, the doctor had tried out a new experiment on her, and that was not revealed to the what you call the higher ups. Means the head of the department had decided that he will do those trials on that patient, and my chief reporter got to know about it, and he asked me to follow up that story. So I followed up that story for 10 days, I think. And that lady, they had put some kind of this thing, she had served this thing, cancer. And what every day I used to go to Hidwai hospital in the afternoons when the doctors were not around, get into the ward, and then afterwards, then someone warned me that if you go near the patient, you means her means the means the radiation. You would that also means you are prone to radiation and all. But I took the risk, and then afterwards I exposed the story saying that this trial has been done without keeping the higher ups informed. And that lady was from a rural area, and they had not even told her about it, not even her family members. So finally, that lady died. Then there was an inquiry instituted by the government, and that head of the department was placed under suspension. There were many, now I don't offhand recall.
Ma'am, as a woman journalist, during your time, do you think people were more expectable of like, okay, I have to answer her, or do you see any changes of people reacting, looking at women journalists?
People were respectable then, and they are respectable now also. It's that how you conduct yourself. So, you also have to conduct yourself in a respectable way. So, at that point of time, when I started off, women journalists were very few. There used to be one or two from Deccan Herald, Indian Express. So, we all used to sit at one place together and kind of report. That respect was there. And I see that respect even today. Except that some of us are responsible if they are not getting the respect.
So, ma'am, during the era when there was not even technology properly, how were you able to ask your parents, or were you not scared yourself that I'm going in a field like journalism where I have to gather information? That information might be something that people have been trying to hide since so long, and you might unveil it. So, that like little scare inside you didn't come.
I know I was not scared.
And in your parents?
Maybe they were scared, I think, but they didn't express. Except that if it got very late, then they would say, "Where are you?" They would call up. And that too, it was the landline.
So your gender did not create any problems for you?
No. And see, for me, I didn't think I was a woman reporter. Neither the person whom I was interviewing, they thought that she is a woman reporter. Of course, there was some consideration, some respect that you are a woman reporter. But then there was no such discrimination. And that discrimination should start in the office. And that depends on the chief reporter. But my chief reporter never discriminated. And he gave all those tough assignments to me.
Ma'am, now that we are all trying to make it in the field, what would you like to tell us, ma'am? How to keep our focus right, how to get our stories done, and the right way to approach? What would your advices be?
First thing is just you have to get out of the office and go to the field. Okay. So if you don't go to the field, then sitting in office also you will get information from A to Z, because the press conference will be telecast live. So you will be in a better position to watch that person live. It's like going and sitting in a cricket stadium and watching the match, and sitting at home and watching it. So you get a better view. That's it. But then the pleasure of going to the field and gathering information, that you will experience only when you go to the field. You have to go to the field. And then another thing is, you have to be on time wherever it is, press conferences or appointments. Whoever gives an appointment, you should keep up that appointment. And then when you go there, you should put on a very means you should be very confident. Even if you have gone there and you don't have any info, you don't know anything, but just put up a face that you know everything. But you have to be firm but not aggressive, not rude.
Ma'am, these days there is again the menace of fake news. What did you say about that, ma'am? Like, how can our readers or viewers avoid the fake news, and how should journalists help in curbing the fake news?
See, the readers will not know whether it's fake or not unless we inform them. But where does a filter start? It starts from our end only. So we have to find out whether what we are giving to the readers is fake news or not.
So it should start with us.
See, these days we're only bothered about TRPs. So that TRP has led to this fake news. That should stop.
Do you think a lot of women, like nowadays, as journalism, the subject is getting its own hype? So do you think women are getting into journalism, or it's just men who are
No, I
showcased
think
into
lots of
journalism?
women are there. Women are also coming to newsrooms also. Earlier, it was just a few women reporters, and then very few women in the newsrooms. I'm talking about the desk. But now you see a lot of women on the field, no? So, but see, for some, they think it's a glamorous job. That to say that you are a reporter, you are a journalist from XYZ organization. But how you continue means sustain. It's not a stopgap arrangement where you come for 1 or 2 years, work there and then quit. There should be some kind of a sustainability. That comes only if you're serious about the career, about making journalism as a career.
As you mentioned about TRP, do you think nowadays news channel are actually only running behind TRP instead of showcasing the news that they should?
Yes, I can say that.
Like several YouTube videos and other such platforms, they actually showcase that news channel have become a source of entertainment instead of providing information and facts. So how could we change that once we get into the field?
Get in the field meaning about this news channels
Yeah,
or
news channels.
so how? See, I don't think it's in your hands. It is in the hands of your editor there. So the editor is more what you call concerned about the TRPs.
Yeah, that is why I'm asking if they are concerned, but we ourselves don't want to run behind what they say, but
Then
instead
you'll find
showcase.
you'll find it difficult to work there.
Isn't there any other option where we can actually show
You
what?
have Salar as a YouTube channel
Sure, ma'am. Definitely.
where YouTube channels have come. They have mushroomed, but here there are a handful of YouTube channels which are genuinely working. You can get into those. See, I'll give you one example. Like this corporation elections. I was covering corporation elections. This was somewhere in the 91, 92. So I had to go, I was asked by my chief reporter to go and cover one particular ward. So I went and covered that ward, came back, and at that point of time only typewriters were there. So I typed out the story, and in the typewriter if you make a mistake you have to tear the page and again put a fresh page. So my mistakes were also there. So I don't remember how many times I had taken out the sheet and then put it. But finally when I took it to the chief reporter, he said, no, this is not the angle I want. So he had an angle, but he didn't tell me because he wanted me to learn. So at the end of the day, I had typed 10 such things. And finally, when I got what he wanted, he approved. By which time, I don't know how many times I had typed. At the end of the day, when I was going home, my hands were black, changing the paper. So that's how. Now here, with computers, everything, you can change, edit, paste, copy paste, which is happening now often. All that you can do.
You have worked with many young reporters. Do you see any change in their attitude? Like, if you look at young reporters and you think about yourself, if I have spoken like this or if I behave like this, how would my editor would have behaved? And do you think the editors and editors are trying to involve themselves and accept what this generation brings onto the table? Or how it is, ma'am? How was your experience with, like,
Then
coordinating with
also we
the
had
young
people who came with, as you said, attitude in caps. Now also we have people who come with attitudes. So people, it depends on the person. A person was humble then. A person, you can come across a person who is humble now also.
most of the time we as it like I have heard the stories, or one of my friend was saying that when she pitched a story idea, and immediately the chief reporter was told that you're still young to do and you wouldn't know how to do it, let me do a story. What? So he actually took her story idea and proceeded. So as a being like new to the job, how do you tackle these kind of situation and make sure that you prove your point, or you stand for yourself at the end of the day and save your job as well?
Yeah, sometimes you cannot override your chief reporter, and I think that chief reporter is an inefficient one who steals your idea and does the story for himself. No? So, means once you become a chief reporter, my understanding is that you should stop doing stories. You should mentor the team. So, because if the chief reporter starts writing stories, that he or she will be concentrating on her story, because see, bylines are the only thing which gives us a kick every day. So, if that chief reporter is also running behind bylines, so how is he going to mentor the team?
What can the young reporters do if
Other
she
than-
faces, or he or she or anybody else
So
faces
it
like
depends
this
on
in
the person,
and
the
plus
nature
the
of sorry.
and the organization is also bigger, and then yeah, how do you?
It's a difficult situation. Like, say, if the chief reporter himself is suppressing you, then where do you get the support from?
Did you also face something like this during your working?
No, I had very good chief reporters. I had very good chief reporters who mentored me, and today what I am is because of those chief reporters.
So, ma'am, journalists like Barkha Datta, they have their own news channels. They broke the barrier and became the one. But nowadays, we see men are more having their own news channels. So, what would you like to talk about that? Like, how can we do it? Like, how should a woman can break the barrier and
But why do you think yourself as a woman first?
because we are
Because do you think you're vulnerable?
no.
Then why? Then you have come into this field, and this field is challenging one. So why do you bring the gender thing here? Then forget about the gender. Think that you are also a man and you can do it.
But see, you also said that think you are a man. Why should we think that we are a man? I'm asking, I'm a woman, and in a society where it's male dominant, we all know that. So, in a society as such, how can we break the barriers and become the one? There are so many men who will come to stop us in their own ways. So, how can we break that?
No, it's not a question of breaking barriers. It's a question of, see, Barkha that became success not because she's a woman, because the content which she provided in her channel. So that content could have been provided by a man also. So it's not a question of breaking barriers or breaking the glass ceiling or something. When you come into this profession, you have to forget you are a woman. Because I have come across people who say, I'm a woman, so can I go home early? And all. But you should be prepared to work late hours. And if you are in reporting, forget about your social evenings. You will never see the sunset.
Ma'am, since you're a print journalist, there is this notion that print media is dying or there is no value as much as it had. And since I am also in paper, I have heard when I go out for reporting and they ask from where I am, and I tell them from that I'm a newspaper. There are people who tell me, "Why are you in the newspaper? Why don't you come to electronic or digital or something like that? Why are you still in print or something like that?" What would you say about that, ma'am? What do you, like? Is it really true? The notion is true, or is it just a myth that is going
No,
around?
print, I think it's slowly eroding. I won't say it will die down, but see, post pandemic, people stopped buying newspapers. So the news was consumed on the mobile itself. So during the lockdown period, people didn't want to, means there was news that even the newsprint, if you touch, you will get COVID. So many people stopped buying it. So it was news. So now I think it's, but you are working at digital, not in the print media.
When I say,
Ah.
I meant e-paper or
E-paper also is digital. So I think news portals now have a edge over print. I can say that because see, it can be a very small news portal, but if you give a news which hits the headlines, then it's not the news portal, but the news which is important, which runs.
ma'am, and also with erosion of print media, how do you think it will affect the journalism industry? Like day by day, if it reduces and it keeps shrinking down.
The big media houses will survive. So it's only the small ones which are going to suffer, who may have to close down, and many have closed down. Or they might continue running, but it will be with a skeletal staff. They might have to lay off some persons, which even the big media organizations did during pandemic.
So, ma'am, as today's Women's Day, what would you like to say to the women out there to inspire them, as you are inspiration for us? What would you say, your words to inspire them as well, and to us?
One is you have to be bold and never think you are a woman. Because if you think you are a woman, then you will, there are other aspects to it, that you are vulnerable to many things. And be very firm. That's what I have been. Firm but not rude. And aggressive. So that the other person also fears you and you get your things done. But I have a question for you all. So why did you come into journalism?
As a kid, I enjoyed cricket, and to me, it was only men, right? So we see men playing cricket, but no one shows us the post-match or the pre-match presentations. And it was Mayanti Langer who made me fall in love with journalism, because I saw her asking questions. I saw her literally, gunning down people and saying, "Answer to my questions. Why is it so? Please give me information." And that made me feel I can do that too, right? I can, watch someone, so I can do it as well. And it was because of her my interest in journalism came, and it became the love of my life.
I think when I was in high school, it was initially started. I had this pressure at home to take up medicine, and it started around high school that my parents wanted me to go into medicine, and of course, I did not like it. And there was this. I had a lot of interest in politics. I don't know why. I used to read up old stories about politics or how it's done, how the elections are conducted. I read a lot about that in high school, and the thing is, I knew that this field will, and I wanted a channel to be more confident and ask questions and take up that for a living, not just do it at home or something like that. So like she said, I didn't have a role model. I didn't consider anyone, but I wanted to be that person, and that's why I took up journalism.
I took up journalism is because I wanted to change the narrative of my particular committee. So everyone has had a same fate at the end of the day. By 20 you have to get married, and that's it, your life. You cannot go beyond that. So just like during the high school, I was seeing my sisters how badly they were suffering, and I asked my mom, like, you think do I have an opportunity to change that? And they said, like, no. It's like, see, we learned this, and that's what we are teaching you. So some or the other way, I started looking up myself, and I used to watch a lot of TV back then. And then there were the reporters who, so I heard one reporter, like very old, like I was just in my room and my dad was watching. So I think some journalist told that, like, never take an answer, no for an answer. So that's what like stuck to me till now. And I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and be a journalist and, change the narrative. So now if they look up to me and then they're like, oh my God, you're still like, why are you leaving your daughter so freely? So I chose journalism for freedom, and I think this field gives me that freedom and then that power for me.
So I took up journalism because I used to love watching cartoons, but my father used to love watching news. And once I had an argument with him, he was watching news. I was like, "What is there to watch in news? Same news you keep on watching again and again." He told they provide information. I'm like, why would someone tell the truth to them? Who are they? So that's when my father told me that they're the fourth pillar. They are one who has the strength to get the answers out. And then I got to know, okay, someone there who is very much strong and confident enough to get the answers out. And I felt like I can be that. I can be someone whom my father would admire watching on TV. I can be someone whom people around would admire and will willingly watch to know the information, to understand what is actually happening in the world. So I wanted to be that identity, so I chose journalism.
Good.
During the field reporting, I have experienced this because if I'm going to ask a question to any official, uh, I have seen like people rushing them and then shoving the mic on their face and demanding the answer. While if the print medias are left behind and you cannot go forward and ask this question because they are first of all in a place that they don't want to talk, or secondly they are in the pressure of the to be answered. So as a print journalist, how do you like draw a line, or how do you go ahead and with a comforting way you ask them a question before any TV media or breaks that news first?
This mad rush you cannot avoid at all. It happens at every press conference. So I have also experienced that. In fact, one camera thing fell on my shoulder also in this kind of a rush once. So what you have to do is leave the electronic media for that frenzy which happens then. It will last only for 5 or 10 minutes. After which, once they have got their quotes, see, they don't go into the depth of it. So after that, you can just walk up to that person, whoever it is, and then ask him calmly that this is the information which you want. So many times you have to make an attempt. It's not that you will always be able to. You will always get an opportunity to do that.
I've seen the change in their attitude when somebody goes with the camera, the official don't answer. But if you see, say you're from a print media, they they sit down with you and talk to you. So, do you think this will change ahead of the time, or it's going to remain like this, or
No,
like
it works
print
both
is
ways, no? Because some people are crazy about camera. So once you put, they're always looking for a camera.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
so for them, one quote and one appearance on the TV, that's more. They're happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it works both ways.
So,
So and then, as you pointed out, you now this another new trend has come. Means in every street you have this YouTubers who have started.
yeah.
Yeah. So it is, means one good thing is that even housemaker or women homemaker, they have also become YouTubers, and their content is different. It's cooking recipes, what they do in the morning, what they do. But when it comes to journalism, it has become one kind of a racket.
And do you think for a print journalist, and we have to write it down for this many words, or however the story we see? Do you think the uh, official often, like you pointed out, they like camera attention. So if they're talking to a print journalist, they have to give certain time to us so that they can explain and we can ask them a lot of question. So in the print media, it's just one question and then it is done. But in the print case, you cannot just ask one question and come back, because with one question your story is not going to look good. So how do you tackle this, or how do you make that person, like in your career, how did you make sure that that person will sit and listen to you and answer to you?
See, this camera, about camera and the electronic media, means it came only in the early 2000. Till then, it was the print media which was dominating. So the bureaucrats or the politicians, they were used only to the print media. So it was like taking an appointment with them. It was always by appointment only. You would go, they will give you time. So you also knew that you had they had given you time. It was your time, and you could sit and have a conversation or a chat or whatever it is.
With more, with coming up journalists, what do you think like the journalism curriculum in colleges should be so that the country produces better journalists and smart journalists?
See, to me, from practical experience, I didn't find my course in any way helpful when I came to the field. So changing the curriculum will not help, because when I was there itself, they had started broadcasting, magazine journalism, electronic media, and all those things. It only you have to come and learn hands down in the field. So
maybe
by theory, you're not going to become a good journalist.
maybe including field reporting in the curriculum will help.
It was there. It is there also. It is there. We used to. We had to bring. I don't know. We had to bring out a lab journal, and for that you had to go and get some stories.
Thank you.